Tonight, you will pick up your phone for no reason at all. You won't decide to do it. Your hand will just move. You'll unlock the screen, scroll for a few seconds, find nothing new, and put it back down. Then 10 minutes later, you'll do it again. This happens to you dozens of times a day. You've probably blamed yourself for it. But the real answer is far stranger, and it has almost nothing to do with willpower. It starts 2 million years ago, on an open grassland, long before screens existed. Your ancestors were not the strongest animals on the savanna. They had no claws, no armor, no real speed. What they had was attention. The ones who noticed a flicker of movement in the grass survived. The ones who didn't became lunch. Over millions of years, evolution built a brain that rewards you, chemically, every single time you notice something new. That reward chemical is dopamine. And here's the part almost everyone gets wrong. Dopamine isn't the chemical of pleasure, it's the chemical of anticipation. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz discovered this while studying the brains of monkeys waiting for a reward. He found that dopamine didn't spike when the reward arrived. It spiked right before, in the moment of not knowing. The uncertainty itself was the trigger. Your brain doesn't crave the treat. It craves the question of whether the treat is coming. Sit with that for a second. The most addictive part of anything isn't getting it. It's wondering if you're about to. Now think about your phone. Every time you pull it out, you don't know what's waiting. Maybe it's a message, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's a like, a comment, a headline that changes your whole day. You don't know, and that not knowing is exactly what your ancestors' brains were built to chase across the grasslands. This isn't a new discovery either. In the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner ran an experiment with pigeons and a lever. When the lever delivered a treat every single time, the pigeons pressed it occasionally, almost lazily. But when Skinner made the lever deliver a treat at random, unpredictable intervals, something changed. The pigeons pressed it obsessively. They couldn't stop. Skinner called this variable reinforcement, and it remains one of the most powerful behavioral patterns ever recorded in a laboratory. You are not a pigeon, but your brain runs on the same ancient machinery. Every app on your phone uses a feed that refreshes unpredictably. Every notification arrives at a random time. Every scroll might reveal something incredible or might reveal nothing. You are pressing the lever. You have been pressing it for years. But there's a second, older force at work here too, and it has nothing to do with dopamine. It has to do with who you are as a species. For most of human history, you didn't live alone. You lived in a band of maybe 50 to 150 people, and you knew almost everything about every single one of them. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent decades studying this number, and he found something the same across nearly every traditional human society on Earth. There seems to be a natural ceiling, somewhere around 150 people, beyond which your brain simply can't track meaningful relationships. He called it social cognitive capacity, but everyone else just calls it Dunbar's number. Inside that small group, gossip wasn't trivial. It was survival information. Who was trustworthy? Who had food? Who was a threat? Knowing what your group was doing every single day was not optional. It was how you stayed alive. Your phone has replaced the campfire, but it hasn't replaced the need. Every time you check your phone, some ancient part of your brain believes it's checking on the tribe. A notification feels like someone from your group calling your name. A message feels like news that might matter. Even a stranger's post, somehow, registers faintly as social information, because for almost the entire span of human existence, all information was social. Nobody experienced abstract, disconnected facts about strangers. If you heard about someone, it mattered because they were probably standing 20 feet away. Now you scroll past thousands of strangers a day. Your ancient brain doesn't know the difference. It still files each face, each name, each tiny update as something it needs to track, the same way it once tracked who in camp had a fever or who had returned from the hunt with food. You're not weak for finding this hard to resist. You're running social software that was designed for 150 people on hardware now connected to billions. Here's where it gets stranger still. Your ancestors evolved to feel a specific kind of discomfort whenever they were cut off from their group. It wasn't sadness exactly, it was something closer to alarm. Isolation on the savanna was a death sentence. A person separated from the group for too long usually didn't come back, so your nervous system developed an early warning system for loneliness, the same way it developed pain receptors for a burn. The feeling existed to push you back towards safety. That warning system still runs today, and it doesn't know the difference between actual isolation and the quiet, ordinary moments of modern life, like sitting alone on a train or waiting in a checkout line. Your brain interprets the silence the same way it once interpreted being lost on the plains, and it sends out the same old signal. Check in, find your people, make sure you're not alone. So you reach for your phone, not because you're addicted to the device, because some very old part of you is trying to find the tribe. And for a few seconds it works. You see a familiar name. You feel a tiny flicker of connection. Your nervous system relaxes, just slightly, the way it might have relaxed long ago at the sight of a familiar face returning to camp at dusk. Then the moment passes, the feed refreshes, the faces change, and the ancient circuitry, never quite satisfied, asks you to check again. This is why willpower alone rarely works. You're not fighting a bad habit, you're fighting two systems that took millions of years to build, both firing at once. One chases uncertainty because uncertain things on the savanna were often dangerous things worth noticing. The other chases connection because isolation on the savanna was often fatal. Your phone happens to trigger both systems dozens of times an hour with almost no effort on your part. So what do you actually do with this? You stop blaming the part of your brain that's reaching for the phone. That part isn't broken, it's ancient, and it's doing exactly what it was built to do. What's changed is the environment around it, not the wiring inside it. Knowing this won't make the urge disappear, but it changes what the urge means. It's not a character flaw lighting up your nervous system. It's 2 million-year-old hardware responding to a world it was never designed for. There's a strange kind of relief in that. You're not failing at modern life. You're succeeding almost too well at being human in an environment that no longer matches the one your brain expected. Maybe that's the real twist hiding inside your pocket. The phone in your hand isn't pulling you forward into the future. It's quietly pulling you backward into the oldest parts of who you are, the parts that once scanned the grass for movement and counted faces around a fire. You were built to need attention and connection long before you were born. The phone simply found the switch. Tonight you will pick up your phone again. You'll tell yourself it's just for a second. But this time maybe you'll notice what's actually happening underneath. It isn't a notification pulling you in. It's 2 million years of survival, quietly asking the only question it has ever known how to ask. Is everything all right out there?